All right, Doctor. Good evening, sir. You can. I think we can begin now. The recording has started.
Okay, good evening. Um, the president and distinguished members of the Rainy Day Cooperative, it's my pleasure to have been asked to come give a talk today on the hidden cost of remittance from abroad, especially for our members who took on the japa train in the last couple of years. Thank you very much, Mr. President Funsho Akinsoy, and thank you, a big thank you to all members, and thank you, my listeners. I'm going to make this really very quick with some uncomfortable truths, but the goal ultimately is to see how we can help you break free from whatever loop, mental health loop, that's restricting you from having your best life possible. So some of the truths will be uncomfortable, but like the surgeon who sees a diabetic foot and does not go about being palliative or mollycoddling your gangrenous toe, he tells it straight to your face. This toe is gangrenous. I'm going to cut it off. This toe is diabetic. I am amputating it. The pill may taste bitter, but it works very well. So today we are looking at the hidden cost, the mental health hidden cost of remittances from the abroad. According to National Immigration Service, between the years 2021 and 2023, that's a 2-year period just before the 23 election, soon after COVID, that period between COVID and SARS 2020, soon after COVID, and then the elections, about 3.6 million Nigerians relocated to the UK, US, Canada, and Australia. And just when we were before, it was said that 52,000 Nigerians migrated to the United Kingdom. As of late last year, we have about a total number of 17 million Nigerians there. And then it looks like people traveled abroad to work, study visas, and all of that. And it's not a win-lose situation for the country. It appears as people left, something came back in return. In Pentecostal cycles, they say when praises go up, blessings come down. So it appears that when Nigerians left for the UK, money came the other way. So about $4.2 billion was total remittances between January 2024 and October 2024. An over 60% fold increase compared with the previous year. These are verifiable stats from the Nigerian Immigration Service. And it was so juicy, so sweet, that the paramount ruler of Testimony's hometown, I hope I got this correct, was giddy with joy and excitement, saying that this is commendable. You know, it looks like they were looking at, they've monetized and reduced the japa experience to Naira and Kobo. And the Punch reported sometime last year that, look, japa is good. It's actually boosting diaspora remittances. Like, we should have more of it. You know, let the praises go up and then let the blessings come down. Let Nigerians leave for the UK, US, Canada. More dollars will come in here. And for those of you in the UK, US, and Canada, I just want to ask you a few quick questions. Perhaps this may be familiar. Even those of us who are yet to leave, this may sound really very familiar. I have a successful child abroad. Don't forget Omo. Remember, this is Nigeria. Oh, and then look, I left my parents behind. I left my siblings behind. All hopes are on me. I will not look like I failed abroad. What if they suffer because of me? If I don't send money, I feel like I'm a bad child. I cannot say no to them. They sacrificed everything. And then at some point, I traveled for growth, purpose, and a better life. Now, agenda is no longer jelly, looking like I just exist to send money home, and I don't understand my life anymore. It looks like the family ATM. Interestingly, well, let me do a bit of self-disclosure here. When everybody joined on the japa bandwagon, some of my colleagues beckoned on me. Dr. Abayomi, this is the best time to go. As a matter of fact, a church guy came to me and gave a prophecy. Dr. Abayomi, the japa season is open in the spirit realm. Join on the bandwagon before the door is soon shut. The door is open to doctors and nurses. Join before the door is shut. This is your moment. This is your season. Initially, I laughed, but when the pressure got a bit more serious, I just gave them a response. They couldn't figure out. I said, look, Nigerians who leave for the UK, they're going to experience a culture shock. They're going to experience loneliness. They're going to experience a lot of mental health struggles. And it will be pretty, very difficult for them to access mental health care where they are going to for obvious reasons. They won't understand your culture. They won't understand your context. They won't understand where you are coming from. And even if they do, you may not be able to afford readily available and accessible private health care. The NHS there is not as good on paper. It's good on paper, but in practice, not as good as that. So they'll be needing help, and I will build my practice here, and I'll be the one providing help to them. Interestingly, that has been really very prophetic. And I am psychiatrist and psychotherapist to a good number of doctors who live currently in the UK. What I just posted here are some of the things I've heard them say. And you're going to hear a bit more of them as we move on. Here's the reality of those who send remittances from the abroad, those of whom the Alaki is really very giddy and excited about. They didn't just leave Nigeria. They left as someone else's home. I've had parents of my colleagues who are abroad right now say to me that, look, Dr. Abayomi, that my daughter there, she's my hope. She's my hope. She's my retirement plan when I'm old, when I'm this. But you are there in the abroad thinking, I'm here for a better life. You have your own expectations, your life, your purpose to live, to make money, pay for mortgage, build and plan to japa to Australia. But your parents here see you as their lifeline, as their hope, as their ATM. That is the reality nobody really talks about. And you're in the UK, you're in Canada, Australia, Europe, you're working sometimes below your qualifications. Did I say sometimes? I take it back. A lot of times actually below your qualifications. Let me share this unpleasant experience with you. One of my colleagues, a consultant, she qualified as a consultant psychiatrist not long after me. And then she was in her 30s when she qualified. And then she left for the UK against my advice. And a few months later, she called suicidal, crying, with thoughts of overdosing herself. And what's the problem, babe? And she says, look, I have MBBS here in Nigeria, and I have a fellowship that took me 6-7 years to take. I'm now in my 30s. That can you imagine I'm in the UK working as a senior house officer? That's 7 years behind what I have passed. And I have Indians in their 20s who are now consultants, and I am saying yes and yes, ma'am. Today, back in Nigeria, I no longer have to take blood samples. I leave blood samples to house officers and NYSC doctors. Now I'm back to taking samples and I'm reporting to. Now, in addition to these, in your head, you're always converting pounds and dollars to naira every day. And while you're doing that, you're calculating rent, bills, survival, who to send money to next. You are building a life and carrying the load of other people at the same time. Why is this so? Psychologically, people fall into this trap, this mental trap, which I want to explain right now, and then I'll share with us a few tips to breaking free from this trap. The big name, the technical name for the trap people fall into mentally is what we call the rule-governed behavior, where, so to speak, you put yourself in a straitjacket, you put yourself in a mode. Some thoughts show up in your head, some emotions show up in your heart, and you just succumb to them. You make these thoughts automatic. You make them absolute leaders, and they drive you. Here are some of the thoughts that run through our minds and get us hooked, like a drug, like a psychoactive drug gets you hooked. When you've met people, if you've met people who are addicted to drugs, you can actually have conversations with them. Yeah, you know drugs not good for you. Yeah, I know. Drugs are not good. Yeah, I know. Don't take drugs again. It will ruin your life. It's ruined your life. You've been kicked out of school because we're doing drugs. A few days ago on Twitter, there was a boy and a girl from Edo State University who filmed an explicit video, and then they were expelled. I read some of the comments beneath, and I heard that the guy had been expelled from his school abroad before he came to Nigeria, and the same thing happened. That's rule-governed behavior. You find yourself doing something, it's not benefiting you in the long run, it's not sustainable in the long run, but you can't break free from it. Let me give you a good example. For those of you who voted Peter Obi in 2023 and is now your president, you know, you can't unseat him, you can't impeach him. And 2027 is around the corner. It's almost gonna run without opposition. All right, that's the government in power. There's really very little you can do about the government. Mr. Testimony can complain about the series of excellent governors they've had in Ogun State. But beyond complaint, there really isn't much they can do. That's what it means, rule governed behavior. They seem to have so much power. Right? But with respect to these thoughts that run the lives of people who are abroad, and I do a lot of japa remittances and they experience some hidden cost, it's not so bad. There are ways we can help you, and I'll share some of them with you tonight. Now, here are some of the thoughts. I have to make it worth it. I have to make my traveling abroad. I have to make it worth it. My parents sacrificed for me. I take that back. My parents not only sacrificed for me, they are also sacrificing for me. You know, I have a friend here who left from Abeokuta for Canada, and I met her mom some couple of months ago, and it was a tale of woe and pain. That look, my daughter left, she's here to settle down, she's got a job, but the job is not paying her bills, so I had to work, change naira to dollars, and send to her. Now, the lady over there in her head, there's a rule governing her behavior. My parents sacrificed for me, their sacrifices for me. I have to make it worth it. People contributed to my travel. I can't come back empty. I've spent 1 year in the UK. I must show. There must be something to show for it. Now, these thoughts in their head seem rigid, unquestioned, and powerful. Right? That's a rule governed behavior, the driver of that mental health problem that makes people get into behaviors that really can explain. There's an emotional engine behind these remittances. You know, to the untrained eye, to the unquestioning mind, hey, they are sending money here they are making remittances because they love. From my experience, from my clinical experience, not necessarily so. I remember last December, a medical doctor reached out to me and was complaining very bitterly about the hidden cost of japa remittances. She has cousins here in Nigeria, and December was approaching, and all of them were saying, look, your sister never buy clothes, or we want to buy Christmas clothes. Some even went as far as saying, look, we don't want to buy clothes in Nigeria. Ship the clothes down to us here. And she was in my DM crying that, look, do they know how hard I work in the dead of winter, in the cold? I have bills to pay. I have exams to write. It's true, I'm a doctor. I relocated to the UK as a doctor in Nigeria, but I'm starting all over again. I'm paying for exams. I'm reading for exams. I'm paying mortgage. No, not even mortgage. I'm paying rent. I have to fuel my car. It was overwhelming. She was experiencing a burnout. Yet she sent the money. You think it's because of love? No. She didn't do that out of love. She did that out of fear. What will people say? I have a sister abroad. We contributed money to send her abroad. She is now abroad now. She does not care about us anymore. Our fear is, what will they say? And then there's guilt. I'm a bad person. After they had helped me, I have abandoned them. And then shame. How would they see my family members suffering? It's Christmas. They don't have new clothes. And she has a daughter abroad. That daughter is a shame. She's an embarrassment to her parents. And then there's this sense of obligation. These are the emotional engine rooms behind these remittances. These remittances that Testimony's paramount ruler was giddy and excited about comes at a huge cost, a lot of times hidden. These are the hidden cost. Now, when people feel fear, guilt, and shame, and sense of obligation, it's not pleasant to anyone. So what do? They try to avoid it. So they send money even when it hurts. Even when they've got no money to give, they send money all the same. I know of a young man who left for Canada 15 years ago. He reached out to me last year because his life was in a mess. He was down to taking alcohol, and life just didn't handle. Yet he was still struggling to send money. Just so his mother back in Nigeria won't think he's a failure. Now, these are some of the hidden costs, even when it hurts. And before you know it, something changes, something shifts in their brain. Why they were here in Nigeria? Why do you want to japa? Better life for myself, better opportunities, a better life for my children. I want to become an excellent professional. I want to elevate and pivot into something different. But what happens? A shift occurs in their brain. It now becomes, I must provide for everyone. I must provide for everyone. My father will soon die. I cannot afford to let him die if I'm able to provide. And then this change escalates into survival, obligation, and pressure instead of growth, freedom, and purpose. A subtle identity shift happens. This is another hidden cost nobody's talking about. The reason why it feels impossible to stop is similar to the same scenario playing out in the head of people who have substance use problems, addiction. They are living inside their heads, believing the thoughts too strongly. Here are some of the thoughts they believe. I believe if I don't send money, it means I'm wicked. Now, these thoughts show up in your head. I'm not denying that I validate these thoughts. They show up in your head. But believing these thoughts too strongly makes it impossible to stop. They are dependent on me. Without me, they will die. I am indispensable. The world revolves around me. Unfortunately, Pentecostal Nigerian Christianity has just messed things up. You are the pillar of the family. You are abroad. You know, guys, it's really very interesting. I had a lady tell me once that, she told me once that her sister mentioned to her sister who had traveled abroad that you are the Joseph of our family, that God has sent ahead of us to preserve our generation. Please, I'm sorry, let me speak Yoruba. Nonsense here. Can you imagine that kind of nonsense? You know, someone is traveling abroad for growth, for purpose, and you are not traveling yourself. You are here in Nigeria and you are saying this person is the Joseph ahead, that in a few years' time, it will bring all of you abroad. I think I'm going too far. I have an uncle who once came to me and told me he had a dream that I am the Joseph of the family, that I'll be the first person to relocate totally abroad and then move the whole extended family one after the other abroad. It's like a ladder system. Me, I move someone, I drop the ladder between Nigeria and Europe, another person comes, brings that ladder, and that kind of nonsense. When you are living for abroad for a different reason, and then there's this thought in your head, they're depending on me, and then the most wicked of all of them is, I have no choice. The lady I told you about reached out to me in December, really very crying. I said, okay, let me help you. How about we do this? And then she says, okay, Abayomi, don't bother. I have no choice. Says who? I think it was the late Professor Sam Aluko, who I was poo-pooing IBB's sub program, said something like, you can't say men have no choice. Even if you are faced with death, you still have a choice. You can choose life instead of death. But in our heads, this thought, and I'll talk about the mind, how the mind can play a trick on us. This thought that you have no choice can be really very overwhelming and rule and govern our lives, making it difficult for us to do what is right. Now, all of these, the rule govern behavior and the emotional engine. What is the outcome? What is the dividend, return on investment? Number one, you are tired, but you cannot rest. You cannot rest, too. You cannot rest. Again, one of the patients I'm seeing, a doctor in the UK, has an exam to write. Back in Nigeria, while she was doing her stuff, when she has an exam to write, she'll take time off work and go. But now abroad, she cannot take. I said, take time. She said, no, I have bills to pay. I am tired, but I cannot rest. You are earning, but you don't feel secure. Have you noticed that when they come home for December and when they come home for December, I just got back, IGB, they're always in a hurry to run back. I know a man who came back and spent a few weeks beyond his approved time in the US and then ran back. I said, oh, guy, where are you running to? He said, look, but you're making money. He said, look, no, don't worry. One more month without work, I'm broke, I'm down, I'm out. You're abroad, but you feel alone. That's the return on investment. You are helping, but you feel used sometimes. A lot of people reach out to me that, look, I'm nothing but an ATM machine to my family. I just feel used. Again, what do we find? Ababo, you find people who have high functioning depression. They are burnt out. They are functioning, going to work, meeting deadlines, but they are running low. They are running an empty tank. One little thing, they feel overwhelmed. They collapse. Then some people have anxiety. There's a young man who reached out to me and doctor as well, and his problem was, I cannot afford to fail. The thought of failure the fear of failure became so overwhelming that it paralyzed him and almost became a self-fulfilling prophecy. I know that lady reached out to me. The thought of failure, I am in the abroad, I must not afford to fail. She was to apply for a master's program while in the UK. It took her 6 months. She still had not applied. Why? I cannot afford to fail. I cannot afford. The fear of rejection was literally frying her up. And she was busy sending remittances back to Nigeria, making testimonies paramount ruler giddy with excitement. And then there's emotional numbness. I met quite a number of people who don't feel emotions anymore. They are just numb. That's the false safety net. Because you've been hurt too many times, you just put up a front, put up a mask. You mask your emotions, you don't feel emotions anymore. Life becomes drab. You can't tell colors, you really can't experience joys anymore. It didn't cost. And then there's quiet resentment towards family. I've had quite a number of patients tell me, I'm upset, I'm hungry, I'm mad at my mom. If she wants to die, let her go and die. If she dies, I'm not coming for her funeral. This is what comes out of this hidden cost of remittances. And then there's relationship strain abroad. Husband and wife fighting. You're only sending money to your parents. Money is not enough for us. You're only sending money, you're only sending this. So I find people seem to be succeeding publicly, but they are succeeding privately. Let me make a self-confession. I've muted many people's status on my phone because they post what you want to see, the filtered life, beautiful, wonderful. But underneath privately, it's a different kettle of fish altogether. There's this reinforcement cycle I will just make a passing mention, and then I'll move on to the way out. You see, it begins with you sending money. It begins with you feel some pressure and guilt. I've been abroad for 6 months, so I've not sent anything to my parents, so, and I'm making £2,000 every month. They'll be calculating in their head, £2,000 every month. That's like 3.5 million naira every month. Hey, that's one person's salary for 1 year. Okay, mommy called me, the antihypertensives are finished. Wale wants to ride WAEC in June. Okay, you feel some pressure. You send money. And family says, thank you, Oshio, Mommy, me. You are the pillar that holds our family. Thank you very much. God will bless you. I'm so happy you did not embrace. They say all kinds of things. I tell my children, I tell my friends, my neighbors, and my children are abroad. And now once they rush to they are happy. Now, when family responds positively, you feel temporary relief. At least I feel useful. At least I'm useful. Unfortunately, you're responding to their pressure, to their demands, makes their expectations increase. If you sent how much the previous time, £100, that's about 200k. If you sent it to 200k, like civil servants in Nigeria don't earn 200k in a month. So, and this is how we think in Nigeria, especially in the light of Nigerian Pentecostal Christianity. If you pay tithes, that's 1/10 of your income. So if you give anybody £100, automatically they just calculate in their brain. That's about 1/10 of your income. Meanwhile, your savings for that month, if you have any savings at all, is £150. And from £150, you don't carry £100, give them for family. Thinking for the past 6 months, I did not give them anything. Your family will not think you put this together, you scrapped all of this together in 6 months. They will think, wow, in just 1 month, you gave them 200k. So they believe you have in your balance 2 million naira. So the next time they are making requests of you, they'll be asking for 400k. Let me tell you something funny that happened a few days ago in my hospital. A guy reached out to me and said he needed a loan. I said, how much? He said 300k. And I said, okay, I'll think about it. I'll see how we can meet your demands. And I slept over it. I didn't do anything. If I tell you, let me sleep over it, that's my way of saying no, capital no. So I think you guys can learn from me. If you are not as blunt as Mr. Testimony or Mr. Akinsoya, you cannot say no outrightly. Be like me and say, let me sleep over it. I'm still sleeping over it. You cannot give me a timeline for how long you want me to sleep over it. No, I'm still sleeping over it. 2 years later, I'm still sleeping over it. Get the memo, Oga. So I told him I'm sleeping over it. And then he came back to me and said, actually, I don't need 300K. What I need is 200K. In my head, so you are using psychology on me. Don't have a psychiatrist. This is how Nigerians think. Not just Nigerians, the average human being. So if you're in the UK and you send £100, they will think, okay, if you can send £100, that means you can send £200. Do not make our demands high enough. All right. And let me say this is something very wicked I learned from a lady who told me, look, I have 2 requests to make of a guy. I have 2 requests to make of a guy, but I really need one. What I really need is the second request. So here's what I'm going to do to him. I will raise the stakes really very high about the first request, knowing that he will say no automatically. And the moment he says no to my first request, I've guilt-tripped him. I'll put in my second request. He will not be able to say no to me in succession, 2 quick successions. So they might just tell you, please, I need an iPhone. My phone is iPhone. I cannot buy you an iPhone. No. And then they will say, okay, if you cannot buy me an iPhone, please, the roof in my house or my bed is bad. They've guilt-tripped you. So it just tells you how, that's by the way. So your expectations increase and the pressure returns stronger. You feel pressure and guilt, you send money again. Your mumu button, the cycle to your mumu button is complete. We know what to do to him to send him money. Just tell him, well, if you die, you'll be buried. You don't want and to be more and to be more. They will give you very beautiful Yoruba proverbs. If they know that's your mumu button, and they might even quote Ephesians chapter 6. Children, honor your parents so that you may live long on the earth. All those kind of things. What we call it in psychiatry is reinforcement cycle. They are just tightening the snooze on you. And here's the hard truth, guys. If you keep giving from a place of fear, you eventually start giving from a place of resentment. It's just a matter of time. Like young people will say, clock it. It's just a matter of time. And nothing destroys relationships faster than resentment. But it's not all doom and gloom. There's a way forward. And I want to share a few tips with you for your freedom. It is tough. We'll change ahead. It is tough. Number 1 is create mental space between the thoughts in your head and you. You are not those thoughts. When the thought shows up, whether from pressure or from a message someone preached or a story someone told you on some cock and bull nonsense. For example, instead of saying, I must send money, shift. This helps you create mental space in your head. The thought in my head right now is that I must send money. Must you obey the thoughts in your head? No, you don't have to. You don't have to. When you create space, a mental space in your head, it gives you the freedom to make your decisions based on your values, not because of societal expectations. You live your own life. Let me say this in my heart. Let me say it all the same. Guy, if while in the UK, you run into trouble and you're in police custody or you die, God forbid, the people that are saying that they depend on you, without you, you are the pillar that holds their life, they will live their life and they will survive. Oh. You are the one that will lose. Oh. I must send money. Says who? Where is that written in the Constitution that you must send money? Let me shock you. It is not even written in the Bible that you must send money. It is not. As a matter of fact, what is in the Bible is that a righteous man leaves a wealth, leaves the inheritance for his children and his children's children. Not that you are in the UK living in the cold. You are someone who now guilt trip you, now be sending money to people in Nigeria and you are dying. I'm sorry this sounds blunt, but it is not written anywhere that you must send money, especially money that you don't have. So in your head, create this shift. Instead of I must send money, now thoughts I get, say I go send money. Number 2, redefine responsibility. Okay, which load be your own to carry? Which one is not your own to carry? You have an uncle here in Nigeria who has 5 children, and one of them wants to write WAEC this May, June. Is that your load to carry? So ask, which load is your own to carry, which load is not your own to carry. Your uncle sent you to school, agreed. Now, God put it in his heart to send you to school, and he did. You must not, it is not written anywhere in the Constitution that you must pay back your uncle for sending you to school. No, you can repay by sending other people's children to school. You can do other things. And interestingly, let me just say this to you, because I think it's the unhealthy version of Pentecostal Christianity has messed up with the minds of many of my patients when I speak with them. And I think Pastor Podue Madi of the Covenant Nation gave me a really very interesting answer. I give people who come and bring Pentecostal speak to me. But the Bible says anybody who asks you, give now, give now. Pastor Podue Madi says it does not say give money. It does not say give pounds. You can give advice. You can give business ideas. So what is not yours to carry, don't carry it. Then love is not measured by how much you suffer. No. Long suffering does not mean you should be suffering because you want to help people who are busy using money to spend alcohol. That's not how you measure love. All right? Then values reset. This one is very important. Why did you travel? Return to the reason why you travel. Return to that reason and let that reason guide your actions, not guilt or fear. You traveled for growth. You traveled for stability. You traveled for dignity and freedom. Let those values guide you, not fear, not guilt, not what people will say. No, see, I am here in Nigeria, guys. I can tell you the people here are living large. Maybe not all of them, but a good number of them are collecting money from you and they are living large with the money you are sending them. Yes, they are. So don't, because of fear, the imagined fears in your head, put yourself through all of this absolutely. And finally, this is the final one. Okay, no. The fifth one is emotional boundaries without growth. See, set boundaries. I meant to say boundaries without guilt. Set boundaries without feeling guilty. Don't send money out of impulse. Let me teach you a simple, this what I put here, this is what I can afford for now. Another language I use is, I'm sorry it is not budgeted for. I hope my wife is not listening to this guy. Let me tell you the truth. Sometimes my wife has a craving. I want to buy shawarma, I want to buy pizza, I want to buy this. I'll say, I'm sorry, it's not in the budget. I'm sorry. Call me cold, call me all romantic. Thank you. Oga, that's how I save myself from financial disaster. You are in the abroad. It's not in the budget. Otinwu is talking to me about, but when we are training you and sending you to school, did we talk about budget? Thank you, ma. Set boundaries. Set boundaries. All right? They are not rejection. They are sustainability. Permit me to share a story with you and then I'll move on. I think this idea first occurred to me soon after the university. While in the university, some of our guys who were really very promising guys, really very guys, they began to take on too many responsibilities while as undergraduates. I mean, they took on spiritual responsibilities, became pastors of fellowships. Everybody was going to them for emotional support and all of that. The sad truth right now is those guys are not doing well because their growth became stunted at some point. They began to bear and shoulder responsibilities they were too young to bear. Look at the story of a mango tree. If a mango tree begins to bear fruits too early in life, it sacrifices its opportunity for future growth to provide abundance later in life. The time and the period you should use to build your wealth, sustainable wealth, and come into financial freedom. You are busy doing for that Christmas. You are living on a salary. You are busy doing for that Christmas. You are on a salary and you are putting your family members on a salary. Now, that's recipe for disaster. Why not work towards having residual income and build a huge financial base and perhaps put them on a salary from the return on your investment? That way, chances of your collapse are slimmer. That's what setting boundaries does to you. And then, Dr. Abayomi, I'll feel guilty. I'll feel uncomfortable. I'll feel sad. I'll feel angry. Okay, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel hungry. I'm a psychiatrist and I know what I'm talking about. I also feel hunger. I feel guilty. I feel fear. Fear has never killed anybody. No, guilt has never killed anybody. Feel those emotions and still go on and do the right thing. Do what matters to you. That's what we call psychological flexibility. Here are my closing thoughts. I mean, I've been a bit harsh. I apologize. Let me come back to being a good boy, a good child of my parents that I am. The goal is not to stop supporting your family, but to support them without destroying yourself at the end of the day. That's the goal, Oga. Japa gave you an opportunity. I also gave you invisible weight. Share that weight, Oga. Why? You deserve a life that you can actually live, not just a life that others can benefit from. Let me share these last two slides, and then I'll say the last thing, and then I'll take your questions. How do you know if your remittances are affecting your mental health? I'll give you 10 signs. I'm sorry, this is not funny, but I just had to laugh. One of the guys who reached out to me for mental health, for psychiatric psychotherapy, Dr. Abayomi, I don't pick my mommy's phone call anymore. Why? Whenever my phone rings, I am scared that another billing is loading. If you feel that way, it's affecting your mental. You send money even when you are struggling, and then you adjust your life silently and quietly, and you clean out. You feel guilty saying, I can't. You know, I cannot say no. You know, I cannot say no. Your income doesn't feel like yours. Before your alert enters, billings in your head. You are constantly tired, but you cannot rest. You avoid conversations from home just to escape pressure. You feel unappreciated sometimes, but you don't say it. You start resenting people you love. You don't want to talk to your mom again. You hate your mom. You feel stuck, like you can't slow down, even when you're overwhelmed. And you don't feel like yourself anymore. You just feel you're an ATM machine, right? Yeah. Now, thank you. Before I take questions, permit me to just say this last bit. Well, maybe I should take questions, and if the need arises, I'll just mention it in the course of my questions. Thank you very much for your attention. I appreciate you. God bless you. I'm open to questions and answers right now.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Doctor. I really appreciate the details that you have provided us and the pragmatic approach with which you have engaged this. Once again, Dr. Abayomi is a consultant neuropsychiatrist and psychotherapist. I have personally known him for a bit, for providing this kind of solutions across the spectrum to all kinds of clients. And if you ever need to talk to him privately, you can take his number. Dr. Abayomi, please help us. You would help us recite your number, and we can take it up from there for anybody who will be listening to this call much later. Before the questions, I'd like to reinforce the fact that some of the things that doctor is saying also apply to us who are in Nigeria. For example, you are in Ibadan, but you came from Budakeke in Ife. As long as you have left your village to somewhere that looks higher, people believe that you have gone to make money, or you have come to Lagos. I mean, someone reached out to me recently and said, oh, the prophet said that they should not go out for 7 days. They should observe prayers for 7 days. And therefore, they need money to stay in their house for 7 days. I should send money. Real stuff. I should send money to them so that they can follow their prophet's instruction for 7 days. They call it Igbele in Yoruba. It's mostly the white garment churches that do it. They ask you to stay outside, stay indoors, and not see the sun for a certain number of days. So this person reached out to me and said they need money. He kept calling and texting. And kept calling and texting. And as I'm not the one that saw the vision to him to not go out, I simply did not pick his calls nor read his chats again. In my own understanding of scriptures, the God who sends you on a message will also do the job of providing what will sustain you on that errand. And so I kept it at that. So even if you are in Lagos and you are from Abeokuta in Ondo State, the pressure is getting worse, like people always say. And it's so interesting that the pressure, I told someone something recently that the problem with black tax is that it never ends on you. So if your parents assisted someone all through their life and they go to be with the Lord and they pass on, I can assure you that those people that they assisted most likely feel that you, as the offspring of their benefactor, should continue that goodwill. So if you are looking for a motivation to stop, to put things in check, look at your children and say, do I want to pass on this wahala to my children. And this even happened to me as a person when my mom passed on. Several people reached out and said, your mom used to support us. Please don't forget us. I'm like, okay, I just lost my mother. I should now start to lose my money again because you have some needs that I don't know about. And so these things are not new, and I like us to freely ask questions. We will be circulating doctors per his permission, his slides to everyone, and we would, to everyone who is registered with us at Rainy Day, if you want us to send the slide to you, do well to drop your email address in the chat box or send it to us via the WhatsApp number. So let's proceed to the questions. And remember that this is Rainy Day Society. This is our public service initiative that we run these questions every Thursday, addressing various aspects of life. And today we are talking about mental health. For the rest of this month, we will still be talking about health-related issues, public health, dental health, home cleaning, and several other angles to the health matter. Thank you very much, and let's have our questions. Okay, perfect. Can you speak? I mean, I think it's better that you speak since the doctor is here. I wouldn't want to burden him. Or should I read the? I think you should just go ahead and speak if you can, Mr. Okide. Okay, I get you. Doctor, can you see the question? Someone asked the question and he'd like your expert response to it.
Okay, the question is in the chat box, I guess.
Yes, okay, let me read it so that it also goes into recording. Let me read it and then you can respond. Thank you for the lecture. I wanted to know how do we deal with family members who helped us when we were younger or while in school. For instance, I have an uncle who usually sent me pocket money in uni. I'm currently working now and his children are now in university and are always requesting for money from me. I can't say no. I need to underline that. That's before doctor speaks, let me underline I can't say no. Because their father helped me. Over to you, sir. I would when doctor finishes speaking, I will speak from a budgeting point of view, but I would let doctor address this from a mental health, from an expert point of view. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I think you become a psychiatrist yourself. Well, to the man, you've asked a really very good question. I'm sorry I laughed. This question is really very important to you. And I'm not sure you joined this conversation from the very beginning because I addressed that emotion. But let me go ahead and say that. Two major problems, or there are two major drivers making you feel helpless that you can't say no. One of them is the sense of guilt that this children's father helped me when I needed his help when I was in the university. And if I don't help his children right now, I'll be a bad person. I'll feel guilty. I'll be a bad person. And the second thing is, I cannot. Well, let me bust. These are myths, I must confess. They are just thoughts in your head. Let me bust them. Let me start with the second one. I cannot. Oga says who? Who says you cannot? Okay. Well, I'm sorry if you're on this call. Let me be brutally honest with you. Say the children ask you to buy them an iPhone 17 Pro Max each. What will you say? I cannot say no to them. Of course, you can't, because you will go bankrupt if you attempt to do that. You can't say no. You can't say no. What's the alternative if you don't say no? Because you don't want to feel guilty. Remember the reinforcement cycle I showed you. You don't want to say no. You actually can say no. Try saying no. See, try saying no for the next 1 week, and you'll be amazed at how liberating and empowering no is. Okay, you cannot say no. Even God says no. Even Jesus says no. So you can say no. You can't say no. God saved us. He sent his only see. I'm a Christian, let me tell you, he would not spare his own son, but give him up for how shall he not also along with us graciously give us all things? Is what Paul the apostle said. Yeah, the same Paul the apostle went to plead with God. Take this thing away from me the first time. No. Take it away. No. Take it away. No. Okay, you can say no. All right. Now, if you don't, the second thing is the feeling of guilt that you feel. You'll be a bad person. You'll be an ungrateful person, an ingrate. Hey, okay, if you're an ingrate, that's not the end of the world. You are just an ingrate. You're not the one that killed Jesus. Even people that killed Jesus, Jesus forgave them. So what's your problem? They call you an ingrate, and so you call yourself an ingrate, and so okay, wear your flowers with pride. Be an ingrate for the next 1 year. Build a life. Get some freedom. Be successful. All right. See, instead of bankrupting yourself now because you want to put his children through school and you bankrupt yourself, you will graduate from school and you will now continue that vicious cycle. You will not be able to pay your own children's school fees. Your children will not be depending on the children that you help to university. Okay, I think you should just stop that silly cycle and just create a new path for your generation. Why not build wealth? Have a company. And then that company can sponsor its children if they don't finish their university. I think you should build your wealth and say no. You can say no. Whoever told you cannot say no is not telling you the truth. You have the power to say no. I hope I was not too harsh or brutal in my response. If you need help to actually say no, to helping you break those mental loops in your head, those rule-governed behaviors in your head, those thoughts that seem to be very overpowering, you can reach out to me privately and I'll be really very glad to help you. Yeah, I can. Thank you, Mr. President. I hope I answered the question, Sha.
Well, thank you very much, sir. So the other angle I would like to come from is also from a money angle. So men are in phases, people are, life is in phases, people are in sizes. We must always realize that your own salary is somebody else's obli money for the weekend. It's not even the person's tithe, it's the person's obli for the weekend. They just went to go and do Faj. And nothing drove that to me until one time I was out of the country and I was going around town and I was seeing the life that people were living. And I saw somebody's hotel bill. The minimum for that hotel was $1,000 per night. And I realized that whether I liked it or not, this person passed me. So you should also realize that your uncle, for example, may or most likely have been in a more advanced position in his career when he was sending you money. Number one. So, for example, let's say your uncle was already a manager and you are a graduate trainee. The pay for a manager at any point in the history of the world and the pay for a graduate trainee are never the same. Number one, let's set that apart. That the development milestone for both of you at the point when the person was helping you may have been different. Number two, you cannot give what you don't have and you cannot give beyond what you have. So I'm speaking purely from a financial point of view now. One of the reasons why we created Rainy Day was that we would have this community where we reinforce positive financial and enterprising and entrepreneurial behaviors. So if your salary, I assume that you earn a salary, am I correct? Or even if you are doing your own business, which is even worse, at least if you do a salary job, you can blow your salary this month and you get something next month. Hopefully they don't sack you. A business person is even worse because your pay is out of where your capital is coming from. If you eat your seed instead of plant it, you are going to go hungry sometime in the future. So let's say you earn 250K in a month in Nigeria. You are not doing badly given the economic landscape of Nigeria today. let anybody not deceive you. You have to have a budget. And the best way, since you know you have, this is what they call black tax. Everything I've been talking about this morning is called black tax. Since you know you have people who depend on you other than your own, they are not your children, you need to have a black tax budget. The only person who has endless supply of resources in history is God. You are not God. So once you have a black tax budget out of your 250K, because you're a man of the people, you want to give to the people, you can set your budget at say 50K. It's an extreme one. It's going to deprive you a lot of things at that. Or you can set your budget and say, my budget is 10%. Even God that gave you life takes 10%, according to the Christian ideology. For the Muslims, it's even much lesser. Zakat is 2.5 of your income in an entire year. So if you say 10% for God, the person who wants to collect money from you cannot collect more than the God that gave you the life now, you know. So you set another 10% for black tax. Once you have exhausted that black tax, because you are giving from your own income, put everybody on a queue for the next month. And it will be first come, first serve, or however you choose to be. Maybe somebody's own is pressing, somebody's is urgent, they will soon send him out of school, he needs money to write WAEC. Once you are done with that, close the shop. And then wait till next month. One pragmatic thing to do is to ensure that you don't have a lot of spare cash in your app, like all them OPay and all those apps that you can quickly just press money, so that you not be pressing money to people up and down. I have a friend that if you ask him for money, he's not the one that will send it to you. He has somebody that collates all his requests and filters for like a PA. Maybe you are not at that level yet, but I assure you that the richest man in Nigeria does not answer to every need that comes to him. So when you have a budget, once that budget is exhausted, let everybody stay on the queue till next month. You would realize that over time, people will ask you and they will leave you. They'll go and look for other people to figure themselves out with. If somebody asks you that, oh, uncle, I want to buy handout this month, and you didn't give them, then next month, they didn't ask you, it means they found somebody else to buy the handout for them. If they ask you again, you say, I've not bought the handout. How? I thought you have now finished your first semester. Why have you not still bought the handout? You know that they are just trying to fleece you. So those are two major ways for you to manage black tax, because the entire conversation is about black tax, whether you are abroad or you are in Nigeria. As things go by, you would make more money. And even the person that maybe blocked your number because you didn't give them money, someday they will want to get married and you now have 10 million. Out of that 10 million, you can now send them 1 million for wedding. I assure you that that person will call you and you almost want to go crazy. Exactly. Our Assistant General Secretary, who is also a healthcare professional, just shared some tips here. Yes, we know that our culture is communal, but you have to realize that people have been pushed into corrupt practices. People have jeopardized their career because they were trying to meet up with black tax. The reason why it has a name is because it's a global phenomenon. It's called black because it's black people that used to suffer it. It's we, the blacks, that used to suffer it the most. So there, you need to balance it. That's why I did not say cut everybody off, block everybody's number. No, just have a budget. It is only God that is animal shaun. Any other person that is animal shaun, they are going to bankruptcy court. Afunima Wobe the person is going to go bankrupt. And the funny thing about life is that the people that you give the money to will say, bros, when you they work, you not save. They're like, but I was giving you the money. I beg you, make you give me all your money. If I not tell me, say you don't get money now, you they do fake life. Now fake life don't kill you so. The very same people that you got into trouble for. So I'm not a mental health expert. I'm just a businessman. and a community leader, as the president of Rainy Day, I am after your own mental wellness. I want you to be alive. We need to admit, we grow up like that. Learnings now need to, what is the balance? The balance is having a budget. I will not stay here and deceive you. If you don't have a budget, you would find, so when you have a budget, let's use exact numbers now that we have been working with. 25K every month as a young graduate, over a year is 300,000. See, when the government wants to tax you, that's why they tax you cumulatively. Money compounds over time. So over the course of 1 year, you did not give 300,000 at once and then be drinking Gary. You gave 300,000 over an entire year. 300,000 is still 300,000. Whether you gave it at once and went bankrupt, or you gave it in bits over 12 months and you are still alive, you did not cry, you did not lose yourself, you did not lose your productivity at work. Because people have gotten to that point where they start to steal, drivers stealing diesel, people inflating goods, and then they get sacked. And then when you get sacked, the job that you think you have that is helping you give them the money is no longer available. You now have to go and look for a job all over again. So it is sustainability that we are talking about here. It's like somebody saying, I have a debt to pay. Should I pay it all at once or I break it in bits? Black tax is the reason why you feel this way is because you are feeling indebted to your uncle or to his family. So that debt, let's assume that you truly owe your uncle that debt. You don't have to pay that debt in 1 day. He himself did not support you in 1 day. He supported you over an extended period of time. So that's how to navigate it financially. And then you will be able to, hopefully when your salary goes to 300K or 400K, you can now say, okay, do I have the wherewithal to increase my budget or not? For example, if you keep giving that 25K, inside of it, you may need to write a professional exam in certain industries, or you want to go back for your master's, or you even just want to put something aside in Rainy Day USD fund for your future self. If you have given all of that money out, what exactly is coming back to you? And like Doctor said the other time, there's nowhere in the scripture that says that the person that you give money must pay you back, must give you back. No. He said you will reap what you sow, not necessarily where you sow. So if you fritter all your money giving it to your uncle's children, there is no guarantee that they would remember your own children. Your own children are your own responsibility to take care of. I'm spending quite a bit of time here because I know that this black tax problem for salary earners, for business people, it's from a place of guilt. The way is not to shun it down. All of us, it's village that sent all of us to school. An uncle that will drive by your university and give you one small envelope, an auntie that will send you Gary because you went to school in the same town with her, the auntie you used to go and eat free eba. One of my friends, I used to tell her, I said, don't worry, I will still do something for your sister. Every time when I just came to Lagos, I was already a graduate, but we always go to the sister's house to go and eat free Indomie. I'm sure that when we go to the sister's house, we eat Indomie, she put egg, and there's a sense of indebtedness to that person, but you have to manage it such that in 5 years, I've seen people work at a job for 5 years and they could not save something because they were always giving out something. I have a personal experience. This person has been working for the better part of 15 years. They wanted to transition to learning his vocational skill. This person earns somewhere close to 300K, but they cannot put money together to buy the tools for their transitioning for at least the last 16 to 18 months. So when they ask this, I say, what exactly is the problem? Every time somebody talks to you, you are going to steer the conversation to them sending you money, them borrowing you money, them sending you data. You cannot be a mid-level professional and still be asking for urgent 2K. And he said, my siblings are always asking me for money. I said, okay. The person now broke it down that they are always having to, recently their brother got into some trouble. They're having to redeem the brother. First problem is that your brother or your sibling knows that there's somebody that will redeem them if they get into trouble. That's why they went to get into trouble, and they did not figure it out. If you're an only child like myself and you don't have a mother, you are not going to go and put your hands into what you cannot afford in the first place, because there's nobody who is coming to save you. So you do not want a situation where opportunities come for you. For example, you can't even have an international passport because you are servicing black tax. You are sending money to people. And some of these people you are sending money to, they will block your WhatsApp so that you will not see what they are doing with the money. Or they will have another WhatsApp number they will be using to do oblate. What they collected the money from you for, the purpose of collecting the money from you is not what they are using it to do eventually. I've heard of people online that they have a list of people they will always ask for money every month. They would have a list of like 50 people. They will ask random people. They will ask you for big amounts. Like, so let's say the person needs 100K. They will ask 50 people for 20K. They know that out of those 50 people, it's a law of averages. Out of those 50 people, 5 people will block them or ignore them. Another 5, somewhere in the 50 people, will answer. Say 10K, 5K, like that. Their target for that month will be met. Some will say, oh, I know guide now, wait till next month. So the person who is trying to collect money from you is more strategic about collecting money from you than you are strategic about even holding your own money. They have a plan for collecting money from you. You don't have a plan for holding your money. I hope we've been able to address it. You are not going to solve the problem without a budget. Let nobody lie to you. Whether you are abroad or in Nigeria, even church or mosque. That's it alone. Enyon Saka, Sondamewa, some building projects. Pardon me for anybody who is not understanding Yoruba. Church building projects, mosque development, religious obligations. I have heard people become apostates. They backslid because when they were doing well, they were always donating. Any function, they will call them in church or in mosque, they will be the chairman of the day. They fell into rough times, and the people they were always donating to suddenly did not remember their number. When they come, they say, we welcome you, but they'll put them at the back because they are no longer dropping money. And then the person started having mental issues. So that you do not get yourself into that point, you need to have a budget. And then you can now start having accountability partners. Oh, my friend is also in the same issue. I cannot be your accountability partner because I don't know you personally. But you would have friends around you, your spouse, your friend, your colleague. Most people in Nigeria are in that same problem. So you can help your guy not overpay his black tax this month. It will help you not overpay this month. So you would reinforce positive behavior because human beings are social. Oh, your budget for this month is 25K. I see that you have sent the 25K. Me too. My budget this month is 30K. I didn't pass you, but I don't want to pass that 30K. Please hold me when let me not pass it. Once I know that somebody is going to ask me that where is your salary? What have you done with it? I am going is an extra wall of resistance for me to just be pressing money. Thank you very much. I think I've shared some ways to deal with this. Other questions, please. Let's have other questions, please. If you cannot type, if you cannot speak, you are free to type. Please drop the questions and let Doctor answer. Okay, whilst we wait for anyone who has questions, Doctor, do you have any closing remarks so that we do everything together?
Oh, yes, thank you very much. I think your perspective as a businessman is quite eye-opening. And great job. Thank you. I also learned from that. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. I appreciate you. That's all.
Right. So if you know anybody who, I mean, doctor is, I mean, you don't call him doctor for decoration. He's a medical doctor and he's a psychiatrist and he's a psychotherapist and he has become a consultant. So he has earned his badges. If you know anybody who is going through any mental health issues, I am happy to have you reach out to him personally. I've known him for an extended period of time, and I can speak to his professional competence in handling your issue and also affording you discretion. Maybe should I let the cat out of the bag about the project in Abeokuta, or we should let it be cooking?
Oh, yeah, you can let it out of the bag because the bag
Okay.
you have is smaller than the actual bag. So let them know the small thing you have in your bag.
Okay. So it's also my pleasure to announce on this call that Dr. Abayomi is opening up a rehab in the great city of Abeokuta. So probably, I don't know if I would say more than him. I have followed him up on this mandate, like the era of mandates, since 2017. Doctor, when are you setting up this rehab? We need a facility. And it gives me great joy to announce that the facility is going to be open sometime this month. And it will be open, it will be attending to clients. It's a residential facility, which means people can come in here with their mental health issues. They are attended to medically, and they are also attended to psychologically. I mean, how do they say it's mental health wise, basically, psychotherapeutically. So, yeah, just like they have abroad, you have celebrities that go into rehabs for admission for one issue or the other. We now have our very own person putting out this facility in Abeokuta. It's close to a secondary stroke tertiary health facility, and therefore, if there are medical issues to be attended to, it can be escalated to that tertiary facility. And like I said, it's been something I've been following up with him since 2017. That's 9 years to this time. That gives you an idea of how much joy I feel within myself and gratitude that I feel for this project, that it's coming to town. And by God's grace, would continue to blow the horn for this project. And we look forward to it growing big and bigger and bigger. So whether it is someone struggling with addiction issues, especially for private university students, drug addiction, and all those issues, and all those other sophisticated English that they use to address mental health issues, this is the safe space. This is like a hotel. If you don't understand what a rehab is like, it's like a hotel. You can see how nice it is. You can come in there, nobody knows that you are there. There is discretion. Person is there to receive their treatment, and then after that, they can go back to their life. Just like you hear in Hollywood, so and so celebrity went to check into a rehab to deal with their drug issue, their alcohol issue, and all whatnot. So it's like a special purpose hotel with a bit of a hospital. And then when there are bigger medical issues, it can be escalated to the other federal facility close to them. And Abeokuta has quite a number of advanced facilities to support this private place. So it's private, it means they can answer you promptly they can address your needs quickly. And then if they need more hands, they can reach out to experts in the Abeokuta healthcare ecosystem. So that's the good news that I have to share with us on behalf of the good doctor. And like someone said, on the other side, someone said we should ask ourselves what success is. If your success includes becoming a chartered accountant and you have not written your ECAN exam, you know that any other thing, anything anybody is asking you at that time must be suppressed for your becoming a chartered accountant. And it is that focus, like she said, it's that focus that enables you to be able to prioritize. It's basic economics. You have unlimited wants and limited needs and limited resources. When I was in this, I said, why didn't they call it unlimited needs? He said, most things in life are wants. We want them. So for the most part, you are not going to die if you don't have them. So when you realize it's that what most people are asking you for is a want, you are going to prioritize how you respond to it better. Thank you for, I'm sure we have all seen the video of doctor's facility coming up, and I look forward to sharing more updates as he permits me to share them. Do we have any other questions, please? Questions, comments? We'll be circulating the, if you don't have your email address, you can send us your email via WhatsApp on the Rainy Day website, or you can drop your email address here so that we can share the recording of this session and the slides of this session with you after this call, with doctor's permission, of course. In the absence of any other question, I'd like to thank everyone who has joined this call and everyone who will be listening to us sometime in the future for being a part of this call. And we look forward to seeing you next week. By next month, we will bring Doctor back again to address mental health in the workplace, in the career, from a career standpoint. I think that would be a great conversation. People are feeling pressure in the workplace, in business, and all whatnot. In alignment with his own calendar, I will be glad to have him come back in the month of May to discuss and to share about this. Thank you, everyone, and have yourself a fine evening.